again, and welcome back, everyone, to this week's episode and back to the Shadow Work series. So, today we will be stepping into a really powerful and eye opening space. One that's uncomfortable at times. I mean, most of this has been, but also incredibly liberating once we begin to understand it and become more self aware. So, this episode is called The Projection Trap, Seeing Yourself in Others. But first, let's start off with the astro updates. Next week, we will have a full moon in Sagittarius, and that I will talk more on in next week's episode. But this week, Mercury and Jupiter are both moving into the sign of Cancer. Jupiter will be here until about late June of next year, so it's going to be a very long transit. But Jupiter is the planet of luck, of good fortune, growth, and expansion. So this is going to be a great time for things like emotional growth and abundance, and really a deeper connection to your inner world and those who you associate as family. Mercury, on the other hand, changes signs more frequently and will only be in Cancer for less than 3 weeks. But the ruler of communication and thoughts will be encouraging you to explore your emotions more and how they impact others and how to really clearly communicate with them and through them while it's in Cancer. So let's get into the episode. The projection trap. This is about the way we often look at other people and think we're just observing them, but in reality, we're observing ourselves as well. Our beliefs, our wounds, our desires, all of it is being reflected right back to us. So let's break that down. What is projection? Projection is a defense mechanism. It's a subconscious process where we take qualities, emotions, or desires that we're struggling to own within ourselves and we assign them to someone else. Sometimes we admire them for it, sometimes we're annoyed or even angry. But what we're reacting to is ourselves. I'd like to start with a real life reflection of my own. Just recently, I had a moment that hit me like a total gut punch. I was at a new job that I was doing really well at. I wasn't loving the chaos of it, but I was good at what I was doing. A coworker I had just started working with, first time I had worked with her was that day. She got in my face and called me a tryhard. She said that I swooped in and stole customers from her. In that moment, I felt defensive and confused. I wasn't trying to outshine her. I was just doing what I thought was right. But later, whenever I took a step back, I realized that interaction triggered something old in me. It brought up memories of me being the quote-unquote good kid, trying to stay in line so no one had to worry about me. It reminded me of times when I would step in to help where I would take control and just get the thing done, not realizing that it could be disempowering to the other person. Like I was stripping away their chance to try or to ask. Her anger wasn't just about me, and my reaction wasn't just about her. It was projection on both sides. Now, projection doesn't only show up in the hard moments. Sometimes it shows up as admiration. There was a time when I would look at these bold, confident women and feel so envious. I wanted to be just like them because I felt so small and so meek. And I started to mimic their energy and behaviors. So I would mask and kind of change parts of myself to try to feel that same sort of magnetic glow that I felt they had. But I've grown past that now. I don't want to become them anymore. I recognize that what I see in them already exists within me, in its own flavor and in its own power. That's the magic of seeing admiration as a mirror. Sometimes projection can come disguised as care. I used to try to fix the people I loved. I'd get overwhelmed with the emotional labor or the weaponized incompetence, the disappointment, the frustration, and instead of saying, "This hurts me," or "This makes me feel unseen," I'd just focus on what they needed to change. But the real truth was, I hadn't learned how to communicate my needs. It's something that I'm still working on doing, and I think it's a process that all of us will probably spend most of our lives doing. I didn't know how to express my pain in a way that invited understanding or communication. I was projecting a lack of self-support. I was trying to fix them when I really needed to heal myself. I am an emotionally charged, very intense type of person with my emotions. Typically, emotions like excitement and anger, happiness, things like that. But sometimes I find it hard to navigate when I am met with someone who has similar energy like that. So here's where it gets really personal. When I notice someone being what society would deem as too much, so they're loud and expressive and just acting kind of wild, I feel secondhand embarrassment. And it's because I've been that person. I sometimes still am that person. I was that kid who would get scolded for being loud, just for being a kid. So now, instead of finding myself wanting to not necessarily scold that person, but to tell them to quiet down or something like that, I meet it with compassion, because I'm recognizing that these people are also learning how to express themselves. And I look at it in a way that, how lucky am I to be the kind of person that they feel safe enough around to be free. On the contrary, when I see someone being what some would deem as not enough, I feel that I get sort of controlling. Not sort of, I do. I tend to get controlling. I try to force them to do more or to rise up and to perform. I feel that it comes from a place of love most of the time, because I know they can do better. But it's not my place to try to force them to do anything at all. There is sometimes a thin line between encouragement and criticism. When I slow down, I can see the truth. It's not about them at all. It's about me. And this is not to say that any of this is egotistical. It's reflecting back on, why am I feeling so selfish in this moment? It's about how I feel like I'm not doing enough, that I should be working harder or doing more for my career or for my future. It's easier to micromanage someone else than it is to sit with my own shame sometimes. And this is also projection. One phrase that has helped me come back to myself is one that I've mentioned on this podcast before, that came from my shaman instructor, Rami. And it is, "And so do I," or "And so am I." It sounds so simple, but it's powerful. When I find myself judging someone for being crazy in traffic, I pause and I say, "And so do I." Because I've been in the position before where I'm in my own little world, I've made mistakes, and I've been in a rush before. And on the other side of that too, When I see someone who is shining brightly, instead of comparing, I say, and so do I, or and so am I. Because that beauty that I see in them, that lives in me too. It's not always easy to do, but it's honest. It keeps me grounded in self-awareness instead of blame. My main goal in life is to help people validate, empower, and love themselves fully so they can live the life that they want. I may not always believe that's possible for myself, but I am doing this work so that I can believe it and make it more believable for others as well. And I see that. I see the contradiction. I can see the projection. I see the version of me I want to be, the version that isn't afraid to live. That version is magnetic, and she is powerful, and she is confident. She's not working a job that she hates. She's not worried about finances. She's helping people through her story and through her healing. And when I let myself really imagine that version of me, it's still a bag of mixed emotions. A lot of the times I can recognize that it's not just a fantasy, that it's my mirror and that's who I'm becoming. But I can also tend to be very hard on myself and recognize that there's a lot more work to do. And sometimes that does feel overwhelming. But the fact of the matter is that the work is happening, and that's what's important. So here's a little practice that you can do the next time that you feel maybe emotionally charged by someone else. So good or bad, negative or positive, but pause and ask yourself, what is this stirring inside me? Is there something I admire or reject that I've been afraid to own? And can you say, without shame or blame, and so do I? This is part of the work, the noticing, naming these things, and integrating. You're not here to fix yourself. You're here to see yourself fully. And I am right here with you. So now for a little shameless plug. If this episode resonated with you and you're feeling the pull to go deeper in your healing journey, or you're sort of just starting out on shadow work and you have no idea what you're doing, I would absolutely love to work with you through Reiki. My sessions are gentle and intuitive and focused on helping you reconnect to your energy, to your worth, and to your wholeness. Reiki knows no bounds and is not limited to in-person visits, so I offer remote and distant healing sessions as well. You can find more info in the description. If you're loving this shadow work series, make sure to subscribe and share this with someone who's ready to do the deeper work. Find yourself a shadow buddy to pour your heart out to while you're deep into peeling back these layers. Keep looking in the mirror and keep remembering all that beauty you see in others has been in you all along. Thank you so much for being here. I'll see you next week.